Hey everybody, I know it's been a while with life and work and bills and things like that. Um, I haven't been able to do as many videos as I originally hoped. I told you in the beginning it would be ambitious. I'm going to try and aim for doing at least a video a week. Um, I may do more in the week, but that's what I'm going to do, is at least once a week. Um, But if you want shorter, blurbier things, you can head over to my TikTok and check out those. I usually do like little 1 minute shots or ideas or thoughts, things like that. So you can follow me there too, for as long as TikTok may exist. Who knows? Um, Today, as we're kind of staring down the barrel of what will be a horrible time for the working class, for everybody really, but for the working class in particular, I wanted to touch on a phrase that I've heard a lot and that you may have heard a lot, especially from right-wingers, and libertarians occasionally use it too. And the phrase is, hard times make hard men make good times make weak men make hard times. It's a justification of the cycle of our economy, where things seem to go really good for a long time and then all of a sudden just collapse and crash into nothing, and then we have to build ourselves back. We've seen ourselves dip into recessions and hard times before. The last real big drop to like almost zero was back in 1929 during the Great Depression. The right wing uses this phrase as a justification for getting rid of the social safety net, basically saying that the social safety net's existence prevents people from working as hard as they could to make a better life and a better economy. Here's the thing, though. The people that the right wing calls weak men aren't the weak men we need to worry about. The real weak men are the people calling people weak men. It's the wealthy people, the people who seek money at all costs, don't care what they do for the government, or don't care what they do to other people, so long as they have more money coming into their pockets. Those are the weak men that cause hard times. I mean, think about it, right? Back in the 20s, we had a lot of speculation. People were making big bets on the stock market because it just kept going up. People thought it was amazing. And they'd take out loans from banks to support their lifestyle. And nobody cared because like money would always be there. And the stock market was just this golden calf that just, or a goose that just kept shitting out golden eggs. And this had the side effect of, if you had the money to invest in the stock market, you became fabulously wealthy. If you did not, you remained pretty well impoverished, because there were no regulations, no controls quite on the stock market at that point. These people just kept buying into it and speculating on it. The working class didn't have any access to that. Even like penny stocks and things weren't a big thing for them. They were too busy working, because we also had no workers' protections then. They were stripped away. Well, not really stripped away, never put into place largely. So your employer could give you whatever they wanted for an hourly wage. There was no limitation on the hours that you could work. Children, I believe, could still work at that point. There was nothing keeping the working class from the edge. And then one day, somebody was looking at the stock market and said, oh shit, Like, this can't go up for forever. What if it doesn't? And then everybody was like, oh shit, I never thought of that. And they decided to take all of their money out of the stock market, which of course caused stocks to absolutely tank, which freaked out the banks. So they called in the loans from the rich people. But then but because they had given out all these loans to the rich people who had no real money to begin with, remember, all of their wealth is based on loans and speculation. They have no money of their own. So the banks called in the loans, but the people had no money to give the loans to them. So the banks started to fail. And when the banks started to fail, all of the working class people who had put all their money in the bank tried to go to the bank to get their money out. The bank said, we don't have any money. And so people lost their life savings, and then we're into the Great Depression. Herbert Hoover attempted to mitigate some of the problems of the Great Depression by cozying up to businesses. He figured if he could get the businesses back on solid footing and get them back working, then that would help. To that end, he instituted tariffs on foreign imports, hoping to make expensive local products appear more appealing. He gave benefits to businesses and wealthy people, hoping that they would be able to create jobs, but nobody had any money with which to buy products with. So he needed a scapegoat. He needed a reason why these people didn't have jobs. You know what that reason was? You know what he targeted? Migrant workers on farms. Deported over 1 million of them. Didn't do shit. Didn't do anything to lower grocery prices. Didn't do anything to save the Midwest, which, because of the Dust Bowl, was essentially blowing away in the wind. Herbert Hoover was a weak man who exacerbated the problems because he thought he was a strong man. He thought that he knew better and he knew what he could do, and that by taking care of other weak people, the CEOs of businesses, and the wealthy people who lost everything in the stock market, that would somehow help the starving indigent workers of this country, the people who literally felt the entire infrastructure of the economy fall on their head. It didn't help. It didn't help at all. What it took was a genuinely strong man, a genuinely tough man who, while I believe he was independently wealthy for most of his life, took a great lesson from contracting a deadly disease. And that man was Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Roosevelt wasn't popular in the beginning at all, but Roosevelt understood that in order for an economy to thrive, it has to be built from the bottom. The roots have to be strong. If businesses and a booming economy are the fruits of the economy, the workers are the roots. Because the workers create and the workers consume. And because the workers create and the workers consume, other people can create and other people can consume, standing on the shoulders of the workers. He understood that. He also understood what it was to be helpless. He had contracted polio. He was losing the use of his legs, in spite of the fact that he needed to appear presidential. He would have his fireside chats so that people wouldn't see him trying to walk around, because he could walk. He needed assistance, but he could walk, even with polio destroying his ability to use his legs. By the end of the Great Depression, everyone loved Franklin Delano Roosevelt. He created programs that we take for granted now, on the advice of a woman even. His main advisor for most of this stuff was a woman. But things like Social Security and Medicare and Medicaid and all of these great big government programs that help people who need help. I mean, they were all created then, and they helped and have helped us throughout history since then. And that's because Franklin Delano Roosevelt understood what it was to be a strong person, understood what it meant to offer help and to not be ashamed to get it. And he probably would have been reelected for forever if he hadn't died in office during his 4th term, I believe. And then the amendment was written to make it so that they could only have 2 terms. But he understood what was really needed. He understood that asking for help and needing help isn't a sign of weakness. It's a sign of struggle. And everybody struggles, except for weak men. Weak men don't struggle. I've never struggled. And they don't know what it is to struggle. But they want to give off this image of being a tough guy. Because everybody hates rich people, right? We look at the classic image of an incredibly wealthy person, like money bags or penny bags or whatever his name is from the Monopoly game. Like, that's what we see as an excruciatingly wealthy person. And wealthy people don't like that image, so they pretend to be strong people, and they make up lies about how they lifted themselves up from their bootstraps, or they had nothing and now they're a billionaire. None of the people who are in positions of wealth right now would be there if they had to start from the bottom. They started on third base and think they hit a home run. Now, that's not to say that sometimes it doesn't happen. Sometimes you have somebody that has a blockbuster idea and becomes a millionaire from it. But that's not people like Bill Gates or Elon Musk or Donald Trump or any of them. They all grew up in existences where failure wasn't a big deal. You could trip and fall and just dust yourself off and start again. People like me and other working class people, if we invest our time and energy into something and it fails, we're fucked. Absolutely. Because chances are we've invested everything we had into it, and if it fails, we've lost everything. There's no start over. There's no trying again. Donald Trump has bankrupted probably more companies than have been successful. You and me couldn't do that. Elon Musk buys entire companies just to drive them into the ground. The fact that Twitter is now worth something like a third or less of what Musk bought it for, if we did something like that, we'd be destroyed. But he can shrug it off. And it's like that quote from the Street Fighter movie, except for Elon Musk would be like, the day I bought Twitter was a monumental day for you all, but for me, it was Tuesday. I'm sorry to connect Elon Musk with the incredible Raul Julia and his performance in that movie, which, by the way, if you haven't seen it, it's amazing. But it's the same thing. These people have never needed to face consequence, have never needed to face struggle, have never needed to know what it was like to go without. They are the weak men that cause hard times. And the way they get away with it is by playing on this idea that America is just a country full of inconvenienced billionaires. I hear it said a lot. That's another phrase I hear said a lot. All of us, everyone in this country is just one good idea away from being a billionaire. Except we're not. Most of us don't even get up to bat in the game. Most of us are sitting in the dugout for our entire lives. Some of us get up to bat and strike out. I've seen some people get around the bases pretty hard, but it's almost impossible for us to get to that level, us of the working class. And the reason why is because the weak men who lead to hard times have jury-rigged the system so that there's a wall. There's a place we can't get past no matter how hard we try. There is a point where all of our hard work will not advance us anymore. And it's because that system is rigged. And so we fall back onto things that protect us, like food stamps or supplemental income or something else, so we can give it another go, give it another shot, just keep plugging away. And they call it weak. What's really weak is the fact that if you went to Elon Musk and said, you have no access to your money anymore. No access to your money. We will let you keep any one car that you have and any one property that you have currently. You can have either of those things. You can have one of those things. One of each of those things. Sorry. Geez. One of each of those things. But you have no access to your money. You have to go get a minimum wage job. Or another job, any other job. But let's go with a minimum wage job. You have to get a minimum wage job. You wouldn't know the first thing about it. Because in reality, like the working class, they're too busy working to care about a lot of what goes on in rich people's circles. But once he actually saw what it takes to charge his car or to pay his property taxes or any of that, he crumbled. Have Trump actually work at a McDonald's. Not a staged setup event where he can make himself look good. Actually put him behind the counter. Actually put any of these people in any position where they have to do physical manual labor, have to deal with customers, have to take care of any of the actual ins and outs of a business. Because small business people, I count you guys amongst the tough people. The people who actually give a shit about their workers and try to make it so that both their workers and they thrive and grow. Those small business guys, I like you guys. I like you guys. As long as you're working to better your business and your workers, you're good in my book. But people like Jeff Bezos, who refuse to, and actually fight and break up union actions because it takes money out of his pocket, that's a weak man. Elon Musk, who has no idea how the economy works or the budget or the bill-making process even in government, demanding that a bill be stopped. He's a weak man. Trump, who is so averse to losing anything, he needed to convince a good chunk of this country that he actually had been elected in 2020. He's a weak man. And those are the weak men that are going to lead us to hard times. Why did Trump want the debt limit increased? Because he wants to do a massive tax break for rich people. Make the easy life of easy people even easier. Make them even weaker. But the more money they have, the less we have. And so that separation grows, and the ability for us to get across that gap gets even smaller. We need real people in government. We need people who have experienced the problems of this country, trying to fix the problems of this country. The problem with having people like Trump and Musk and Ramaswamy and Kash Patel and all these other names that this video is probably going to put me on a bad list in a month. The problem with having all of those people in government trying to fix problems is that they've never experienced the problems. Never. They've never had to concern themselves about whether it's more important to buy medication or put gas in the car. They've never had to wake up in the morning and go to work and struggle and fight, knowing that it's hopeless, but knowing that it'll be worse if you don't. They've never had to deal with those kinds of things. We're the strong people that lead to good times. The people who get up every morning, no matter what, and keep going to work, keep punching the clock, keep the wheels moving, no matter how much the system is rigged against us, no matter how much it seems that we are designed to fail. We're the strong people. And being on Medicaid doesn't make you weak. Hitting up the government for food and money isn't weak. It's how far we've fallen. They're called a net for a reason. They're supposed to stop us from hitting zero. We need to get money out of politics. We need to stop rich people from buying our future out from in front of us. We need there to be the ability for another Franklin Delano Roosevelt to rise up. Another person with good ideas on how to save and protect the working class so that the roots of our economy can grow and thrive. Because when the roots are strong, the tree is strong. But right now, the roots are dying. And the people who eat the fruit of the tree, they just keep harvesting. They aren't paying any attention. I had somebody on one of my TikToks say, well, if you're so smart, why don't you run for president? And brother, I'd love to. I would absolutely love to. I would love to bring my progressive ideas, my important thoughts to a race for president. But you know what? This last presidential race cost over $1 billion, and I just don't have that lying around. Getting money out of politics would help people like me, help other people who are sick of two-party systems, who are sick of always feeling like they have to pick the lesser evil, who are sick of people who do not share their ideals running their country. It would give them all a chance to throw their hats in the ring and try. I ran for state office because I wanted to make a difference in my state. And I lost, which sucks, but I had the opportunity to try. We need to give normal people the opportunity to run this country. This country the government is supposed to be by the people, for the people. Whereas right now it's by the kleptocrats, for the oligarchs. Weak men do lead to hard times. But the weak men are the millionaires and the billionaires. Strong men do lead to good times. And that's us. And we need to keep fighting. And we need to keep talking. And we need to keep spreading the message of the working class. And maybe, just maybe, we'll catch somebody's ear enough. And they'll be able to crack that door open just a little bit. So one of us can get through and get to the top. And hopefully, get us out of the hard times that the weak men who are in the next administration are going to drive us into. If you like my videos, drop a like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell, because it's gonna be not so defined a update schedule. So definitely don't want to miss videos as they come out. I have links. I have a Linktree link down in the description, which will link you to my Blue Sky. It'll link you to my Patreon if you feel like supporting me in doing this. You won't get anything special or exciting for signing up for my Patreon, because I don't want to put anything behind a paywall, but I do want to give people an opportunity to support me if they're interested in supporting me. If you don't want to or can't, that's fine. Just leaving a review, commenting, sharing, stuff like that, that helps enough. If you can't put money into the kitty, I can completely understand that. There are a lot of people out there that I would support if I had the opportunity to, and I just can't. This has been Here's the Thing with Andy Wood. I'm Andy Wood. This has been The Thing.